Hey, what's up, guys? Johnny Con here, aka Not Such a Conqueror. I just found out, it's not news, but I just found out that a YouTuber I used to watch back in the day, out of some curiosity, morbid curiosity, I found out that he's not of this realm anymore, if you know what I mean. He actually, it looks like he crossed over like 5 years ago. Well, crossed over wherever he is. He basically decided to make that ultimate decision. Um, I'm not trying to disrespect them. You know, I'm not trying to, disrespect them. I used to find his testimonies very interesting. This was really before like I got into like the craft or whatever, right? Like at that point, I already thought that orthodox religions were bullshit. But I'm all like, I used to think it was so interesting just to hear about him talking about people that were supposedly in quote unquote hell, right? I'm all like, that is so interesting, right? Just out of curiosity. And this was basically his thing, right? He used to like come make videos and supposedly make testimony in the name of God, Jesus, or whatever, right? It was kind of like his videos were meant to kind of like reinforce that fear that a lot of Christians have, that if you're not like obedient, 100% celibate, that you're going to hell, basically. And I used to think it was interesting, right? He seemed pretty like he believed in what he was saying, you know. And in contrast, I'm all like, how come I do everything that I do? I work with, if he was preaching the truth, how come me with everything that I do, working with Lilith, Moloch, Andromalius, uh, Beelzebub, Lucifer, how come I never have dreams or visions that I'm getting cut into like 5 pieces amidst fire and brimstone? How come I don't? It's kind of like, sadly, this man did not embrace his darkness. It's kind of like he let the operating system in his mind kind of like override it. That system that was like orthodox religion. I noticed that if that's your fear, you internalize it, and that becomes your psychology. Like he could have benefited from like shadow work, possibly. That probably would have been good for him. Instead, he was shackled by these beliefs that ultimately made him take that choice. And I say that with all respect and even empathy. He ultimately let those beliefs drive him to that decision, you know. Um, Versus when I think if you're really on a spiritual path, you should embrace that dark side, you know, because sometimes there's people on this earth that will try to convince you that you're a piece of shit or an evil person, when matter of fact you need to take a stance. You need to put your foot down and say, enough. People will point at the Bible and say, if you don't follow this, you're going to hell. If you don't follow the God that's in my image or that I made in my image, you're going to hell. And ultimately, sadly, this is what this man sadly, fell to. But, my path, I don't feel like I'm going to hell. I don't feel shackled. I feel liberated. I feel rewarded. Every time that I take a stance or whatever, I don't have dreams where I'm being dominated, where I'm having the devil ram a fucking iron up my ass. I have dreams where I'm like, I'm the hero. I'm fucking, Darth Vader or whatever. You embrace that dark side. You embrace that shadow self, and the shadow self is not always quote unquote evil. Sometimes it's quote unquote You know, you need to be a more affectionate motherfucker. You know, you hit that inside yourself, like you're ashamed to feel affection or love. You know, that's also, you know, it's not really talked about. You know, but a lot of, you know, Hispanic men, you know, I'm Mexican, you know, have that, you know, like when in reality, let it, you know, embrace it all, embrace your flaws, you know, embrace uh, what society has taught you shame about yourself, you know. But anyways, you know, that's sad, you know. May he rest in peace wherever he is, and you know, hopefully, you know, this video brought some illumination or clarity. All right. Anyways, this is Johnny Khan, aka Naster to Conquer. Peace.